Yes! Oh, it is. It is. Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. It is a Monday. It is a victory Monday for Miami Dolphins fans. I guess it's a victory Monday for Miami Hurricanes fans. We'll get a little bit into that mess. We'll mostly, though, talk NFL here. First Monday after an NFL Sunday we have all season long. Welcome into everybody. I like the fact we already have people in the chat. Drew Boo, good afternoon to you. David challenges me to spend the entire hour all on that unearned Patriots touchdown. I don't think I'll spend the entire hour on it, but we will get into it. Good afternoon, Big Dan 305. Great to see everyone in there. If you're watching us live, or even if you're watching us later, if you watch the replay later, you're watching us on YouTube, do us a favor and smash the like button. I noticed even before we went live, we already had an unlike on the video. We titled this episode, Dolphins Beat the Patriots, and we're still complaining about Tua. So I don't know if it was like an anti-Tua person or a pro-Tua person who misunderstood my sarcasm in the title of the episode, but somebody already hit the unlike button. Let's try to balance them out by hitting the like button. And guys, you're liking life right now if you bet our picks and Lee Sterling's picks at betus.com. Betus.com is the official sports book of Donno Daily. We had a winning weekend. We did have a winning day on the Dolphins game. I went 2-2, but the heaviest bet that I put on was on Dolphins +3. We won that one. The Dolphins won the game outright. I wasn't brave enough to bet the money line. Some of you were. I bet Dolphins +3, so we won that one. I won a prop, lost 2 props, but we came out on the positive there. I'm having so much fun betting games at betus.com. The last couple weeks, it's been full go. We're betting college games. We had a full slate of NFL. We've got a Monday night game coming up tonight. If you want to get in on the action, bet with the 3-decade leader. Join now. And if you deposit with our code, that's 5RSN125. Deposit at betus.com with our code. If you use credit card, you get a 125% sign-up bonus. If you deposit with crypto, you get a 200% sign-up bonus. And bet sports, casino, horses, pop culture, and more at betus.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS. We are also served by the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Guys, make this your spot to watch every college football game on Saturday, every NFL game on Sunday. They've got the 5 for $15 ice-cold buckets all football season long. Ice-cold beer in the Heineken family or high noon hard seltzer. Mix and match them in the ice-cold bucket. It is a beautiful thing. 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. That never ends at the Quarterdeck. The seafood is so good, my friends. The buffalo shrimp are my favorite appetizer. The oysters, the Maine lobster, the sushi is excellent. The sandwiches and burgers, so good. Make it your spot for every football game this season and make the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill your place to watch every UFC pay-per-view fight with zero cover charge. You pay nothing at the door. If you want to peep their menu or find the location nearest to you before you go, visit quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. So hello to, I see my buddy Danny, the Pitbull Weiss is in the chat. We got Bishop Sycamore's finest. Joey Vegas is in. David, he says, I would have loved to have named the title after the cat at Hard Rock Stadium. Dear God, that was crazy. That was the highlight of the Canes game on Saturday, was that poor feline clinging to life. And you had that couple down below in the lower level who saved it. Patriotism saved that cat's life. They had the American flag. They caught the cat. The cat was okay. Outside of that, the Hurricanes game was not so fun. But let's talk about the Dolphins win. 17-16. The Miami Dolphins beat the New England Patriots. I do not want to hear anything but positivity coming out of this one. Guys, that's a divisional victory. You're actually on top of the division right now. Buffalo, disappointing loss. The New York Jets loss. You beat the Patriots. You are alone atop the AFC East with your 1-0 record. Enjoy that. Soak it in for a minute. It's a divisional win. It's against the New England Patriots on the road. Those things don't happen every day. I make no apologies for any victory in the NFL. You look what happened to the Buffalo Bills yesterday. They were a touchdown favorite at home against the Steelers. They got beat. Look what happened to the Green Bay Packers yesterday, by the way. They were favored against the Saints, and they got absolutely smashed. They got crushed 38-3. Meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins go into Foxborough against the media darlings. I know that we refer to the Dallas Cowboys as America's team. The New England Patriots, they are the media's team. While apparently the Cowboys are still the team with the biggest following in the NFL and maybe the highest percentage of Americans support the Dallas Cowboys, the media is all in with the Patriots. The Dolphins are 3-point dogs. They go into New England and get it done. Brian Flores, by the way, is now 3-2 against Belichick overall. And he's 2-1 in Foxborough. Enjoy that. Now, and Martina Davies writes in, great result, but it was difficult to watch. We can improve, though. Fins up. Watching the Dolphins go in, watching any team going into Foxborough getting a win, it can be like a root canal sometimes. I don't believe in style points in the NFL, not against good teams, right? I mean, maybe if you were going up against a shitty team like Jacksonville, who looked awful yesterday, maybe then you can talk about style points. In college football, you can talk about style points. You go into the New England Patriots, I don't care if you win the game 3-2 on a field goal beating their safety or 17-16. Everybody's talking about the quarterback, though. Everyone's breaking down Tua. Everyone is scrutinizing Tua. They're putting him under the microscope. He had a decent game, did not have a great game by any stretch of the imagination. Probably didn't even have a good game. Both the touchdown drives he led were excellent, including Miami's opening drive, 10-play, 80-yard drive. Tua finished it off with a 3-yard rushing score. No matter what you thought about his body of work from start to finish yesterday, Tua looked a lot more comfortable than he did last season. And you can see the improvement of his weapons. Jalen Waddle is a weapon. Devontae Parker, we knew this already, is impossible to cover on those slants. And he caught that 30-yard dart from Tua. Devontae probably should have had another long catch, but was well defended. And Jalen Waddle, who played really well, scored a touchdown, probably should have had another long catch of his own because there was one Tua threw to the outside that went through Waddle's hands. It looked catchable to me, and if he had caught it, he would have had a ton of open real estate in front of him to run. So Tua looked very good opening drive of the game, his opening drive of the game, Dolphins' first drive. I thought he looked very good in the opening drive of the third quarter, where the Dolphins took the 17-10 lead. That actually turned out to be the game-winning score because the Dolphins didn't score again, and the Patriots only added a couple field goals after that. He was 9 plays, the Dolphins 75 yards, and a 3-yard touchdown pass to Waddle to open up the second half. You could see the rapport between Tua and Waddle. I'm so glad Jalen Waddle is on this team. I mean, he and Tua, the relationship goes back to Alabama. I think Waddle is the perfect fit to play in this offense and to play with this quarterback. You know, as mentioned, Tua's receivers did have some drops, some plays where they failed to make a play on the ball and couldn't. He was under more pressure, was Tua, by the way, than Mac Jones. However, I've given you the good and I've given you the excuses. It wasn't all good for Mr. Tagovailoa by any means. Some of his downfield passes were not accurate. His decision-making was questionable at times. The interception, he set the record straight on it. The interception that he threw, no matter what the situation was, no matter what was going through his mind at the time, that was bad. The situation in the game, really important to get a first down there. Third down around midfield. The Dolphins are trying to put together a game-sealing drive. Tua was under pressure from Matt Judon, was under duress. What it looked like to me watching it, and I think most people agreed with me on this, it looked as though Tua was trying to be Superman. Like it looked as though Tua was making a Jay Cutler type of decision, just desperate to sling it downfield, desperate to make a play. He knew how important that down was. He was trying to make a miracle out of something, and he was an ill-advised throw, went into coverage. Actually, a couple of Dolphins had a chance to catch it. It bounced off a couple of white jerseys before it bounced into the hands of the Patriots safety, but that was bad. So my thought was he was trying to play hero ball and make a play. Tua actually admitted after the game he wasn't trying to make a play. He was actually trying to throw it away, which still, the result is bad. The result is the same. Whether it was a bad decision or poor execution, it was poor. Thankfully, for all of us and for Tua, Xavier Howard bailed us all out. He bailed our asses out. That was the story for the Dolphins defense last night. I thought they could have put more pressure on Mac Jones than they did. Kudos to the Patriots offensive line. They played well. I thought they could have limited Damian Harris in the running game a little bit more. They let him record 100 rushing yards. The coverage made things too easy for New England at times. Really, between the 20s, the Dolphins were letting New England off the hook. But once the Patriots got into the red zone, the Dolphins were punishing them. The red zone defense was awesome. I don't want to make a habit out of bending, not breaking, but they were very effective about that. And yeah, as our guy David pointed out in the chat, he asked me to spend the entire hour on that one Patriots touchdown. I'm not going to spend the entire hour on it. Obviously, I've already spent 11 minutes on other things. But yeah, I'm livid. Yeah, I'm livid about the fact that Allana Roberts had a perfectly good sack. Third down, Patriots in the red zone. Allana Roberts, who bodied a blocker on his way to sacking Mac Jones, took him down cleanly. At least it would have been clean a few years ago. But the NFL has become the no-fun league. The NFL has become a league where quarterbacks are not allowed to be touched. And they flagged Allana Roberts 15 yards roughing the passer because they said he hit him too low because he took down Mac Jones by the legs. Never mind the fact that Allana Roberts was already falling, was already diving, was already headed towards the ground when Mac Jones's legs moved into the position they went into. So unless you're telling me Allana Roberts is like Keanu Reeves and can manipulate time and space in the Matrix and move his body and his hands in midair to land on the quarterback in a different spot, I'm pretty sure he can't do that. Fine player, but I'm pretty sure he cannot manipulate gravity and time and space like that. There was no way he could have hit him any different. Like there was no way that play was going to end a different way. He sacked him. That would have forced a field goal try. That was a 4-point swing, right? Because the Patriots potentially get 4 points on that play. Instead, these soft-assed officials who have been protecting Patriots quarterbacks ever since that tuck rule back in 2000, they gave a free first down and then a touchdown ensued for the New England Patriots. So the only touchdown that the Dolphins actually gave up was aided by the officiating. Other than that, in the red zone, they were absolutely money. And my guy, Xavier Howard, let me remind you, 7 weeks ago, he was unhappy, wanted to get traded, asked for a trade coming into training camp. I'm so glad Greer and Flores were able to mend that fence. Restructures his deal. Now he's perfectly happy with his salary, perfectly happy to be a Miami Dolphin. And guess what? X is worth every penny. This guy finds the ball. Even if he's not getting thrown at a lot, which makes it hard for a cornerback to get interceptions and force turnovers when they're just not throwing in your direction. This guy finds a way to find the football. He recovers that fumble that saved the Dolphins' asses last night. But let's also not forget that even after that turnover, there was still 2:20, 2:24 left on the clock. The Dolphins still had to secure that win. They had to pick up a first down to be able to run out the clock. And then you had the specialist, the quarterback sneak specialist, Jacoby Brissett, who came on a couple times for QB sneaks. I have no problem with that, by the way. Earlier in the game, it was weird when Flo kept him out there an extra play. I didn't really understand that. But when you have a guy like Jacoby Brissett, who's 6'4", 235 pounds, he's just built for quarterback sneaks in a way that Tua Tagovailoa is not. If you want to bring this guy off the bench in some, 3rd and 1s, 3rd and inches for a quarterback sneaking situation, I have no problem with that. And Jacoby Brissett was the guy who helped the Dolphins put the icing on the cake because after he picked up that first down, you were literally able to run out the clock the rest of the way. So make this a no complaining zone. I know that, and I think I was watching the wrong debate show today. And let me bring on our guy, our first guest of the afternoon today. Breaks down the Dolphins like no other. And you have to make sure not only do you listen to this man on 3 yards per carry, but you should be following him on Twitter because his in-game, post-game, pre-game commentary is some of the best. I feel like a stalker because I'm liking all of this guy's tweets before, during, and after games. Alfredo Arteaga from 3 yards per carry is now with us. And Alfredo, based on your tweets this morning, I think I was watching the wrong debate show because I had First Take on today, And Stephen A. and Michael Irvin, they spent, I watched the first 90 minutes of it. They pretty much spent the entire first 90 minutes on Aaron Rodgers. I think you were watching, The Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. Were they ripping on Tua today? What was the Tua conversation like?
Really uninformed, and you could tell they were just reading from a box score, and they decided, okay, give me the box score. All right, let me read through it for the first, for about 2-3 minutes, and then, okay, this is going to be my opinion today. It's what I like to call fake takes. Skip Bayless essentially called Tua Tagovailoa the worst quarterback in the NFL. That's a fake take. So they should be forgotten and never to be brought up again.
Now, I'll circle back to Tua, but I hadn't gotten into this yet when I'm ranting and raving to start the show. What did you think of Mac Jones's performance? Because he poised, he didn't get rattled, which partially I put that on the Dolphins for not rattling him. His offensive line did well. Even when he was pressured, he tended to step up and make good throws, had a couple of big third downs. What did you think of the Mac Jones debut?
I thought he was really, really good. I thought he was borderline almost perfect. He did have the bonehead play. And if the Dolphins pounce on it, if the Dolphins just pay attention and notice that he threw the ball backwards at the beginning of the game, and they just pounce on it, then he has his own bonehead play to go with Tua's bonehead play. But other than that one mistake and another throw that got away from him, that Jerome Baker, if he gets the proper drop, probably has the ball thrown right at him. Other than that, he was great, and he was really, really good on third down. He got away with getting rid of the ball as soon as he was about to get hit about 11 times, converted 7 third downs through the air. Yeah, I thought he was really, really good. And he took a beating. If you watched a lot of those plays and how they were ending, he was getting rid of it, and he was getting smacked by some of these guys, and it didn't seem to rattle him. He showed a lot in that outing.
Now, what did you think of the play that led to the Patriots' only touchdown of the day when Landon Roberts, he sacked him? He sacked him. Now, I know that the NFL, they're always coming up with new and innovative ways to protect quarterbacks, especially Patriots quarterbacks. So apparently he hit him too low. That's a flag. Obviously, the football that you and I grew up watching, that's never a flag. But did they get it right by the letter of the rule, or do you think there was room for interpretation there? Was it a harsh flag in your mind?
They got it wrong. 2 years ago, I was at Dolphins camp, and every year, they didn't do it this year, but they did it 2 years ago. Then they had the COVID year where they didn't do it. But the head of officials always comes around to every single team, and they do a seminar for the media. And you're invited to come. If you're credentialed, you could go and you could sit in the Dolphins their meeting room where all the players meet with the coaches. And then the head of officials comes and they start explaining to you every single new rule for that year, and you get to ask questions. That was one of the ones that they were talking about in 2018. And I remember clear as day, the official, when I pressed them a little bit more, and I said, look, what if you're lying on the floor and the quarterback standing right next to you, you just crawl to him and grab him around the knees? Is that a flag? And he says, no, because that's all you could do at that moment. If you can avoid hitting the quarterback low, it's supposed to be a flag. But if you cannot avoid hitting the quarterback low, what are you supposed to do? Not touch him? Just let him run around? What happens if you get knocked down and he trips over you? Is that a penalty as well? What if he's running away from you and you dive at his legs and you trip him up? Is that also a penalty? So it's supposed to be up to the discretion of the referees. The referees just saw that referee that saw that play and decided I'm throwing a flag. It was just wrong. He saw it wrong, and I'm pretty sure the Dolphins, if they complain about it, will get a letter from the league saying, yeah, we got that one wrong.
So let's get to the other quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. The dialogue yesterday and the dialogue this morning in the aftermath is pretty interesting. How did you grade his performance, Alf? I mean, obviously, we both agree the interception was a really, really poor play. I thought at the time he was trying to play hero ball, terrible decision. He said afterwards he was actually trying to throw it away. That just means terrible execution. So it's either a terrible decision, terrible execution. Either way, it is terrible. But what did you think about his performance as a whole?
Overall, I thought he was really, really good. I thought that play was just horrific. If you're going to get rid of it, get rid of it. But you got Matthew Judon, has a complete total beat on you, you have to give yourself a little bit more room, back up a little bit more to get rid of it. He tried to plant and just try to throw it out of bounds, and he didn't get there. So that's why it looked like if it was hero ball that he was doing. So it was an absolutely awful play, and that play alone downgrades him a bit. Other than that, I thought he was really, really good. Now we have to figure out, what are they doing, because on their 2 scripted series, they just cut through that New England defense like butter. And they really did look like the greatest show on surf, all right? They looked like the Kansas City Chiefs. It was bing, 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 bing.
You're right.
4 minutes later, 80 yards pass, and you got a touchdown. They did that twice. But after that, the Patriots look at it, they adjust, and the Dolphins didn't seem to have a counter for what the Patriots' adjustment was. So, yeah, other than that one play, I thought Tua played pretty well. So give him a B+. Can't give him an A because that interception was pretty bad.
Now, what did you think about the coaching from the standpoint that they take Tua out situationally sometimes? They ran a little wildcat, Salvon Ahmed getting direct snaps, and clearly we get the sign, at least for this game. The game plan could change game by game, but Jacoby Brissett appears to be the quarterback sneak specialist, and he did secure you the game. That was a huge first down that he picked up late because then you could run out the clock. But how did you think, because I know you get the groans on social media, oh my God, they don't even trust Tua enough to keep him on the field. How do you feel about the way that game was coached, where there are times when they're not afraid to take Tua out?
I like it as a feature. I just don't like it if you do it too often, because I think you do break up his rhythm. And if you notice, Tua's the type of guy that can get kind of hot. And when he gets hot, he'll reel off 8, 9, 10 completions in a row. So you don't want to mess with his rhythm. But, I guess that's a feature. Although Tua was successful on a couple of quarterback sneaks last year to win games. He scored a touchdown against the Chiefs on a quarterback sneak. If you remember, he quarterback sneaked on 4th and 1 to ice the game against the Cardinals last year. But, I guess they figured out, if he gets hurt doing a quarterback sneak, we're going to look really, really stupid.
Right.
Why not use the guy that's 6'4", 235 pounds? It just makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah. And
it's a miracle that other teams haven't looked at that and done it. And it's also a miracle that Tom Brady's been doing it for 20 years. So, but if you do remember, what was it, 2 years ago, Patrick Mahomes on a quarterback sneak, what happened to him? Got injured.
Yeah, that's right.
And he was out for 4 or 5.
That was, you're right. I forgot that was the situation.
Yeah, he was out for 4 or 5 games after that. Remember, we got to see Matt Moore play some ball for the Chiefs. So, yeah, I don't mind it. Just don't do it too much.
No, very well said. Alfredo Arteaga from 3 Yards Per Carry on the 5 Reasons Sports Network is with us here on Donno Daily. Give me some thoughts on the defense, Alf. You did mention Mac was getting hit a ton right after throws, getting rid of the football quickly enough. So you didn't see sacks. I was kind of hoping the Dolphins would pressure a little bit more. The Patriots did have a 100-yard rusher in Damian Harris, which kind of made us all wonder how much could Bernardrick McKinney have fixed this if he was not released. And it was bend, don't break. I mean, the Dolphins defense didn't look so good between the 20s, but then once the Patriots got into that red zone, they really kicked it up a notch. So how did you feel about the defensive performance? Who stood out to you in a positive light, and did anyone stick out to you in a negative light?
I think the run defense was fine. It wasn't spectacular, but it wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good. If you take away the 1 carry to start the game, the 35 yards, they had 29 carries for 90 yards for a 3.1 yard per carry average the rest of the game. You would take that 16 times in a row if you could. And if you did, you'd probably have the number 1 run defense in the league if you did that. I hate to feed the conspiracy theorists, but I think that they might be right on this one. I don't know. I think Malcolm Perry gave away everything, because you asked me about the coaching. I really do believe, and I'm the kind that says, look, if you win 2-0, if you win 3-0, I'm fine with it. If you win 9-7 and it's a grotesque game that you don't even want to talk about on Monday, I'm fine with it, because all that matters is wins and losses. At the end of the year, nobody's even going to remember the score of this game. But I thought the Patriots severely outcoached the Dolphins in this one. It felt like Mac Jones knew when they were in zone. They didn't do a very good job of disguising zone, and defensively, they had the Dolphins passing game scouted to a T.
They did.
To the point where they were completely snuffing out all those empty looks that Tua likes to get to. When they threw that bomb to Savon Ahmed, that's a play that they've gotten a lot in practice. All of a sudden, it shows up for one play in the third quarter, and not only do they have it scouted, but they know to move the corner over to Savon Ahmed and move the safety off the hash to take away the two-way go on the outside. It's almost as if they knew it was coming. So I hate to feed the conspiracy theorists, but I think Malcolm Perry gave up the entire playbook and the entire game plan.
Oh, how dare he? I mean, the guy went to Navy. I thought he wouldn't crack. Like they could have waterboarded this guy. They get the sharp little pieces of bamboo they put under the fingernails, which I hear hurts like hell. I didn't think this guy would give it up, but you might be right. Very, very well scouted.
Oh, you also asked me who stood out and who didn't.
Yeah,
I think Emmanuel Ogbah, went a long ways toward his first, big payday in the league. I thought Jalen Phillips did some very nice things. I think John Jenkins, in place of the injured Raekwon Davis, did a very, very nice job. Christian Wilkins was essentially invisible, which is not like him because he always shows up, Other than that, I thought Jerome Baker didn't have a great day, but he did tackle well, and that's important. But that's pretty much it. And you got to love your expensive players making big plays when it matters. If you watch the Steelers-Bills game, J.T. Watt didn't even practice all week.
Yeah. Shows
up on Sunday against the Bills, gets a huge sack on third down to essentially win the game. He had 2 sacks on the game. That Xavier Howard makes that play, you got to expect it. Your best players got to make those plays to win you games.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks. He's worth every penny. Something on the offense, we had a bit of a surprise starter at left tackle because it could have been one of 3 guys, right? We found out shortly before the game that Austin Jackson was cleared to play off the COVID list. But he missed an entire week's worth of practice due to being on the COVID list. Greg Little had been number 2 behind Jackson on the depth chart. So we thought, hey, if we don't see Jackson, we'll see Little. He wasn't even active. So they go with Liam Eichenberg, who hadn't been working at that spot. That is his natural position coming out of Notre Dame. So were you surprised by the decision to start Eichenberg? And obviously the Rook, he took some lumps in the game. How did you feel about his performance?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised at all because I could see how this coaching staff could talk themselves back into something like that. And I thought he played well. He had the one pressure. He allowed one pressure all game. And if you saw that play, it was the play where Josh Uche runs him over. Solomon Kinley trips him. If you watch, Solomon Kinley extends his leg, and you see Liam Eichenberg trips over Solomon Kinley, and then a 245-pound man runs you over. Of course, that's going to happen. But other than that, I thought he was pretty good. And he had a couple of very nice run blocks toward the end of the game to ice it. So, I don't know. I think we're facing a situation where maybe Austin Jackson is maybe going to be trained at right tackle from now on. Because I don't know if he'll give it up off of this performance. Why would you sit the guy that just gave up one pressure against a team that was trying to do things to you, to try to get you off balance, to try to run stunts inside of you. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Austin Jackson doesn't see left tackle again.
Wow. Well, my buddy Jerry Mancini in the chat, he co-hosts the Calcio Connection with me, talking Italian soccer. Wow, he says Miami paid the refs to win. Bro, he's Canadian, so forgive Jerry because he probably focuses on that CFL. He watches the Edmonton Eskimos or whatever. If anything, Alfredo, it was the Patriots who paid for that roughing the passer call, and Robert Kraft, I guess the check didn't clear, right? He still owes some money on those massages. So if anybody was trying to pay the refs, it was New England, not Miami.
Yeah, no, the play, the officials, every time you go inside that building, something weird is always going to happen. And it always happens to the Dolphins. And this is just the latest episode.
Yeah, no, fair enough. We mentioned, and you mentioned the Bills falling to to the Steelers week 1, and I was watching that game, and Ben Roethlisberger, he wanted to remind everybody he's still not completely finished. He still has some gas left in the tank. I don't want to overreact to it, but it is nice after week 1 to see the Dolphins, the only team in the AFC East with a win, to be sitting atop the division. You're going to have Buffalo in the upcoming game. So do you think there's any cause for concern in Buffalo? Because even like preseason, and they've had all the drama with the the locker room divided on vaccinations and all that stuff. I kind of wondered if the Bills could take a step back this season. I'm not going to do a victory lap after one game, but what was your take on that? And do you think Buffalo might be a little bit weaker this year than they were a year ago?
Well, Josh Allen looked awful. He looked like the Josh Allen of 2 years ago, and you kind of hope that that's the case, But the Steelers do have a really good defense, and maybe it's just, maybe it was just an off day. And I'm at the prove it stage. Dolphins have never been able to do anything with Josh Allen. Josh Allen's just beating them every which way, to the point where I had some people asking me on my Twitter account today, can they do this? Can they do that? I'm like, I don't know what can they do, because they've never done anything against Josh Allen. Yeah. He's beating them every single way. He's beating them through the air. He's beating them deep. He's beating them with short passes. He's beating them with his legs. So I'll give him a pass. But if he's bad, if he returns to the Josh Allen of 2 years ago, this thing just opened up for Miami big time. And it could open up for them really big this coming Sunday.
Well said. Great stuff here. Alfredo Arteaga, you want to make sure you follow this man? What's the Twitter handle, Alfredo? I want to make sure I get that right.
It's Alf_Arteaga. And, of course, 3 yards per carry. That's the number 3 yards per carry.
Excellent stuff, Alf. Thank you so much. And, we had a couple people on the chat saying they enjoy your tweets on game day as much as I do. Keep up the great work on 3 yards per carry and on social media. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you for having me.
Good stuff there. And he's got that 5 Reasons hat. I still want one of those. Sean, you been able to track down one of those 5 Reasons sports hats yet? Do you have it there in the closet?
Does it look like I'm wearing a hat?
No.
A receding hairline. No, I need a hat.
Better receding than what I've got here. I mean, bro.
All right, I digress.
My recession is fierce. My recession is over. The war is lost. Manny's got such a good hairline. He does that thing. What do they call that? Like tape it, where they have to actually even buzz it a little bit to make it even. I would kill
about that.
They got to buzz his widow's peak. I would kill for a widow's peak. I would kill for any sort of peak on top of my head. Huge thanks to Alfredo Arteaga.
I don't see you with any white hairs. I have plenty of white hairs, so I'm called
Dude,
salt and pepper.
Who cares, man? Women love Richard Gere. He's got a ton of he's had gray hair for 40 years, and this guy gets laid left and right. George Clooney has had gray hair for a while. He's one of the most desirable men in the world. Don't complain about gray hair. I do not want to hear it with a full head of hair. I do not want to hear any dude with a full head of hair complaining about gray hair. Women are fine. Beautiful women are fine. George Clooney has been dating 10s since the 80s. They are fine with gray hair. It's the baldies that have trouble, my friends. It is the baldies and my guy Jerry knows that. He's got a receding hairline. He knows how it is. It's not. I think for Jerry, it's not too late for the Rogaine, because I think he still has enough that he might be able to save it. I am beyond saving. And Richard Gere in Pretty Woman was doing well for himself, my friends. In about 7 minutes, we're going to be joined by Allana Tachauer from 5 Reasons Sports. We're going to talk some NBA with her. Heat training camp, by the way, 15 days. Can you believe that? 15 days until the Miami Heat start preparing for the season. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Manny, until they open things up at FTX Arena. And the preseason for Miami opens up on October 4th. So Heat basketball is going to be here before we know it. Right when we're really hitting second gear in football season, then the Heat will be there, and it's ridiculous. And the NBA is already almost back, my friends. But, looking back to the NFL Sunday, I want to offer, we're going to do this new feature on Mondays throughout football season, the Monday Stock Report. Who is rising and who is falling after week 1. We'll start with the stock of those who are rising. I like to go with the positives before I go with the negatives. And some of these are local team related. Some of them are national. A man whose stock clearly rising, and it was already very high. It's starting to peak now. Xavier Howard. This guy got his deal restructured during training camp. He is worth every single penny. This guy just finds the ball and he finds a way to make plays. His fumble recovery after the Tagovailoa interception, Xavier Howard saved all of our asses yesterday. The Dolphins defense all game long had been bending, not breaking, and they found a way to keep the Patriots without a single point. A field goal would have put them in the lead. A touchdown would have really made it tough on Miami. They got nothing out of that because of Xavier Howard's turnover. That was great. Another man whose stock is rising, Jalen Waddle. Excellent National Football League debut. He was getting separation, scored his first NFL touchdown. You can see the chemistry between he and Tua. This is not going to be Ted Ginn 2.0. We're not going to be talking about Jalen like, oh my God, did we really need to draft this guy when we drafted him? No. He is going to be fine. Jalen Waddle is going to be a prime-time player in this league, and he showed the first sign of that yesterday. Outside of Miami, stock rising. I didn't know if I was going to be saying this today, but I'm kind of glad I am because he looked excellent yesterday. Jameis Winston. Woo, that stock is soaring right now. 5 touchdown passes from famous Jameis. And most importantly, because Jameis sometimes will throw 5 TDs and throw like 4 interceptions in a game. No interceptions. Clean game from Jameis Winston. That is not the Jameis I know. If he can find any sense of consistency like that, the NFL is in big trouble, and the Saints are going to be really, really good this year. Obviously, replacing Drew Brees is not a picnic for anybody. It kind of makes you wonder why Taysom Hill got so much burn last year when Jameis probably should have gotten more. But Jameis Winston, his stock is rising. His stock is soaring right now. Another player whose stock is rising, Mac Jones. I mean, what, did you think I wasn't going to give this guy any credit and pretend he didn't look good? He looked really good. I mean, like Alfredo Arteaga mentioned, that was close to a perfect NFL debut for a rookie quarterback. He was very good despite the loss, really poised on third down, took a ton of hits, some pressure, was able to step up, make plays. So Mac Jones was excellent. He did make the mistake where he threw the football backwards, got very lucky that his own player recovered it and the Dolphins didn't recover the fumble. Stock rising. I've got to give a little credit to my Hurricanes before we get to the stock falling report. But Andres Borregales, the freshman kicker, for as bad as Miami was, unconvincing, they did win. Florida State can't say the same. But for as unconvincing as Miami was on Saturday against Appalachian State at home, their true freshman kicker hits the game-winning 43-yarder. He's been very good to start the season. He did have a kick blocked, which I don't think was his fault. Other than that, I think he's like 3 for 4 or 4 for 5 to start the year. So Andy Borregales, it's not easy for an 18-year-old to come in and make the kicks he made, hit a couple of pressure kicks against Alabama, hits the game winner against Appalachian State. I hope there are more Borregales siblings. I hope there's more kids in the pipeline, middle schoolers, high schoolers with that Borregales name. Just keep bringing them in. Jose was awesome last year. I think Andres is going to be awesome for 4 years. Bring me more Borregali. Bring me more Borregales brothers. Stock rising. The Los Angeles Rams, they looked great last night, beating the Chicago Bears. Bears have their own problems. I don't know why Matt Nagy is so stubborn about Justin Fields. It's ridiculous. But for the Rams, they finally have a real quarterback in Matthew Stafford. I mean, Jared Goff, he was a problem. I know he got to a Super Bowl, but they were winning games despite that bum. They now have an actual quarterback, and I feel so good for Matthew Stafford. You talk about stock rising. Stafford gets out of bum-ass Detroit. He can finally play on a real team. They freed him from Detroit. He was excellent yesterday. Now let's get to stock falling. The flip side. Urban Meyer. Oh, you know what, man? I should, I'll give Jalen Hurts some love. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, their stock is rising as well. That was a fine performance. Fair, Manny. I know Manny wanted to make sure I got that in there. That is fair. Yeah, he's got the Eagles tattoo. What happened to your Canes tattoo, by the way? But Urban Meyer's stock is falling. His Jaguars, they got positively clowned by a terrible Houston Texans team with unrecognizable names on their roster. This guy is not an NFL coach for Urban Meyer. Ricky J. Mark says he's here for Dolphins, Giants, and Rams talk. Here for it. Ooh, the Giants could be problematic this season. Another team whose stock is falling. The Buffalo Bills. I'm not going to overreact to one game. Josh Allen, his stock is falling. He was really bad. They were the NFL's highest scoring team last year. They only managed 1 touchdown in that loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Stock falling. Manny Diaz. Yeah. Miami gets a 2-point win at home against Appalachian State. And all Diaz can talk about after the game is how Appalachian State does this to everybody. Like, bro, I mean, Coach, are you telling me that this is acceptable from Miami? I know a win is a win, and at the end of the day, it's a W, not an L on the record. That's fine. But forgive me for living in the past, okay? I grew up in the 1980s, 1990s. I watched Miami teams that 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago would go up at home, mind you, against a team like Appalachian State, and they would essentially mercy rule them. And this time they needed a game-winning kick to get it done. Miami could be in trouble against Michigan State if they don't play significantly better. And final stock falling, and we're going to bring in Allana Tachauer in just a second. Aaron Rodgers. Wow. I was expecting A-Rod to be on something all season long, right? Angry at the Packers brass. I thought we were going to see a motivated, angry, passionate Aaron yesterday. He throws 2 interceptions, looked terrible. He didn't throw his first pick until week 5 last year. His team gets smashed 38-3. The Aaron Rodgers farewell tour, the last dance, whatever you want to call it, is off to a really flat start. That went over like a lead balloon yesterday. And I like Aaron. I root for him. I do. And I took his side in this whole Packers dispute. Maybe the guy should just hang out with his celebrity pals, Shailene Woodley, Miles Teller. You know, he was out in Hawaii all offseason. Maybe he should have just stayed out there because that was really, really bad. Jerry says I had him starting for my fantasy team. He screwed me over. He probably had negative points yesterday. He was so bad. All right, let's go out and bring in our second guest of the day. And we love our Monday chats with Allana Tachauer from 5 Reasons Sports, who joins us. Oh, and see, Manny is trying to get you to be an Eagles fan. Now, Allana, I did want to ask you because you're an even bigger basketball fan than I am. I'm a bigger football fan than you are. Mm-hmm. And my Saturday and my Sunday was basically wall to wall college football Saturday, NFL all day on Sunday. How much time did you spend watching football this weekend?
I actually watched football with some friends yesterday. Granted, we were kind of like messing around and eating and drinking while the games were on, so I wasn't fully focused. But I mean, I am a Packers fan, and I watched that game. It was rough. I don't know what happened, but also it's only one game, so I'm not gonna like completely overreact. Obviously, to your earlier point, Rodgers was very disappointing. Well, Michael, where's my tutorial? Does this mean I get a tutorial tonight after we record our pod? Because I've been waiting. But yeah, I did catch some football yesterday. I'm glad it's back. There's like something about football in the fall, but not nearly as much as everyone else. My Twitter timeline was like full of football talk, and I was just like, I don't even know what's going on.
And speaking of fall, I know you're a huge fan of it, and I get a little bit jealous because I live in the land where there are no seasons. It goes summer, 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 summer. And like on Saturday down here in South Florida, it was like in the 90s, right? And so you're up there in Chicago. Is fall starting to kick in? Like, are the leaves changing? Do you get a cool breeze? I'm very jealous.
Yeah, no, actually looking at my window, really, like all the trees are starting to change. It's still a little hot. Like I think we hit 80 yesterday, which I was not a fan of. But I feel like in a week or two we'll get there. I could never live somewhere without fall. If I could live somewhere where it's fall 95% of the time, I'd be a much happier girl.
Yeah, listen, I don't mind living down here in the winter, but it's every other time of the year where it's like, oh my God, I'm so hot, I'm so sweaty, I'm melting. So a really busy sports weekend, and it went beyond all the football. We had Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame, and my guy Chris Bosh goes in, and I am man enough to admit I got a little emotional when he said what he said to Pat Riley. And he told that story, and I remember kind of hearing rumblings that he never gave that ring back, right? Because Riley in the recruiting pitch, he likes to dump the rings out on the table. And, this was summer of 2010. Pat Riley actually told Bosh, he gave him one of the championship rings and said, hold on to this. give it back to me after we win a title together. And the way that Bosch told the story was so perfect. And I'm not going to tell the whole story because I will butcher it. But the way that he told the whole story was perfect because he's like, is this guy crazy? Like, because I hadn't even agreed to play there and he lends me his championship ring. I don't know why it took Bosch 11 years to give it back, but he gave it back to Riley in that ceremony. And I was getting all the feels. How did you experience that, Allana? And if you want to share any of your favorite Chris Bosch memories, I think now is a great time for it.
Yeah, no, that was incredible. I expect nothing less out of him. I was already going into it knowing that his speech was going to make me emotional, and it was going to be, extremely moving, not just to Heat fans, but I think just to NBA fans in general. But the fact that he chose that moment to give the ring back was monumental. He is a class act. I think that despite everything that went down, things were a little bit rocky, I feel like, between him and the front office for a little bit after he was first diagnosed. But clearly, in the end of the day, they're all a big family. I am so glad that he got his recognition and definitely made me emotional too. I was getting a little teary-eyed. I was talking to my friend yesterday about it too, and he was like, I was never even that invested in his career, but watching that back, like now all I want to do is just go back and watch highlights. Well-deserved. I've been saying this for the last week, but I think for me, my best memories are like off the court with him. I think on the court, everyone knows how great he was, but the kind of person he was off the court too. And even now, he's still so immersed, in everything going on. And I think that he'll always be a part of the Heat family, but also just like a legend in the NBA. So super happy for him. If you haven't seen that, definitely go watch it. Even if you're not a Bosch fan or a Heat fan, like it's definitely worth your time.
And Bosch is such a good guy, and he's so well liked that even Kevin Garnett sent a nice message to him. I never thought in a million years that KG would ever say anything nice about a Heat player, especially a Big Three member or Ray Allen. That'll never happen. But I never thought he would say something nice about anyone from that era. Like it's kind of making me wonder if like KG is getting a little soft in his old age, because this guy is usually petty to the core.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that's probably a possibility, but I also just think, like, how can you dislike Chris Bosch? Like, there's literally nothing to dislike about him, and I understand that, even if people, like I said, weren't following his career or weren't Heat fans, like, there is nothing not to like about him. I am incredibly sorry that his career had to end the way it did, but again, the fact that so many people recognize him for the greatness that he has on and off the court, I think speaks volumes. I also thought it was hilarious that like Ray Allen was clearly there for Chris Bosch and not Paul Pierce. So I loved that.
Oh my God. So Allana Tachauer is with us here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. It's crazy. And I just got the update on this. I think it was yesterday. I didn't realize how close we were. September 28th is when Heat training camp opens. First preseason game,
Thank
October
God.
4th. It's going to be here before we know it. We have the first two-way was used on Marcus Garrett. The Heat brought in a few of their summer league guys in on the 10-day contract. So the next two-way is going to be decided. But any thought on who gets that and how you think this roster is going to be filled out heading into camp?
I really don't know anymore. I think at this point, though, it's pretty safe to say that regardless of what that move is, it's not going to make or break the roster. I think now is really the time to work on, the chemistry between all the new guys. We got some really great players. The talent is there. I think our identity is definitely solidified, much more so than over the past couple of years. But with any new changes comes kind of those growing pains and that transition period. So I think the new guys just need to like come together, figure, their chemistry out, figure out both offensively and defensively what they're going to look like. And I think now's the time also for Spo to work on his rotations. I have been a little critical of him over the last few years because I think sometimes he can get tunnel vision with kind of what he wants, and his adjustments tend to be a little bit wonky at times. But I'm excited. I can't wait. I've been dying without Heat basketball, so the sooner the better.
and someone I'm hoping has a renaissance year. Maybe he was a little bit picked on too much last season, but Tyler Hero, who looks like a monster. Like we saw that photo going around last week. Like he looks like Mr. Olympia. The guy is like chiseled this year. So physically, he's clearly making some improvements. Do you project Hero to have a big year? What do you think his ceiling is going to be with the Heat this coming season?
I think he's going to have a better year, and I think that's all I personally want from him. I think that we need to be careful about the expectations we set on players, because I think that's a huge part of the problem as to why, fans get disappointed. We talked about this on Clutch Corner. The fact that he's putting in the work already speaks volumes. He's trying to get his weight up. I think more so than anything defensively, he'll be way, way stronger and, not be blown past as easily. I think he's obviously going to be working on his shot too. So I think he'll have a better season. I made this point earlier, but I hope he can stay healthy. And I think right now, the fact that his body is transforming the way it is shows that his health is better. I don't think that fans understood how extensive of an injury he had, because I do think that played a huge part in it. Fans were kind of blaming the fact that he was doing all these things on the side and had all these sponsorship opportunities and new ventures. That wasn't it. Maybe they were distracting a little bit. He's a young guy, but I just think that as long as he stays healthy, he'll have a better season, and he's already looking good. So, it's only up from here.
Absolutely. Allana Tachauer is with us here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Who do you think is going to make the biggest leap this year, Allana? I think, I know Bam Adebayo is Mr. No Ceiling, so I think he can get even better, and he's already playing at an all-star level. Duncan Robinson is locked in, and I'm happy that the Heat are taking care of him, and we get, younger guys like Max Strus is going to get opportunities. We'll see how much of my guy Omer Yurtseven we see, as Ricky J. Mark writes in. So you're saying Yurtseven won't hit a game-winning 3 in Game 4 of the 22 NBA Finals versus Los Angeles. Which player on this roster do you think is going to make the biggest jump this year?
Honestly, I'm going to go with Max Strus. Bam seems like the obvious answer, but I think Bam's already so great and so talented that, he will improve, but I don't think it's going to be some sizable leap, because I don't think it needs to be honest. But I do think that Max Strus, not only because he's going to get a bigger role, but I think, he looked bigger. He looked like he put on some weight. He looked like he's ready to take on more. So I don't know. I'm expecting big things from him. Obviously, again, it's not going to be like a difference maker, but I do think having someone like him who's in the lineup more consistently and who, can keep hitting those shots, but also be a little bit stronger defensively, I think that's going to speak volumes.
We got reports last week that Victor Oladipo, knock on wood, could even be way ahead of schedule. Then maybe he might be ready in December. How big of a boost would that be? Because so many of the conversations we've had is kind of preparing for life without Depot until maybe February or March. If the Heat can get him a couple months before that, what kind of a difference can he make?
No, I think that's huge. I think the sooner the better for him to just reacclimate to, not only our system, but now our system with new guys. In a way, maybe a silver lining of the fact that he only, played 4 games is the fact that he doesn't necessarily have to adjust as much to these new guys and kind of to the new rotations. But I think it's going to be huge. I just hope we kind of introduce him back into things slowly, so that he's not, putting too much pressure on himself, both physically and mentally. But I think he can be the X factor. I know Michael's going to love that I'm saying this, and I might tonight, if he brings this up, I might deny that it ever happened. But I do think he's gonna be the X factor for the team this year.
And you mentioned you and Michael Christian are going to be recording a new episode tonight. When is that going to drop? And if you have anything else to promote where we can see you, hear you this week on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. We're recording tonight, so it'll be up tomorrow morning. We're going to live stream at some point. I don't know if this week or next, but I believe Clutch Corner is also back Wednesday night. So the Heat content is definitely ramping up, moving towards that next 3 weeks that you were talking about. So get ready for some content. We've been a little lacking on what to talk about, but we always try to keep it interesting. So if you want me and Michael to talk about anything specific, hit me up on Twitter, hit Michael up on Twitter. We're all ears.
I want Michael and you, because you're a big football fan now, I want you to give me all of the Dolphins propaganda. I want to hear everything. I want to see you in a Tua jersey the next time you.
I can bait Michael into some Dolphins talk tonight. Maybe eventually he'll give me the tutorial that I've been waiting on. We'll see with his busy lifestyle.
I love it. Allana Tachauer, thank you so much for taking the time. Everybody check out her work on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Cool. And you see there as well where to follow on Twitter at Allana Tachauer. She always brings it strong on a Monday. Ola D Goat. Yeah, we got to make sure we spell that correctly. Ola D Goat. So I want to review how Manny, Sean, and I did on our picks. Sean, make sure to pop yourself into this box, sir. I think Manny is busy working, although he may want to pop in because he could take a little bit of a victory lap. I did well also So here are the games that we picked. We picked 4 games. We're going to do this every weekend. We announce this on Fridays. We make our picks. Sean, Manny, and I are competing. And we'll see at the end of the season, after week 18, 17 games regular season football, who's got the best record picking NFL games. And we're not wusses, so we pick against the spread. Like I see some of these TV shows and even like College Game Day where they're picking winners and losers. Dude, my 3-year-old can do that. Like my 3-year-old can pick winners and losers. We pick games against the spread. We are men. So we picked the Kansas City Cleveland game. Manny was upset at me because I mistakenly said on the show on Friday that the game was in Cleveland when it was actually at Arrowhead. And I don't know why he was pissed at me because he still got it right. He was the only one who got it right. We were picking it
himself too. Just saying.
Yeah, he could have checked. You're right. He could have corrected my mistake. But like he still won. He was the only one, and they didn't win the game, but they covered the spread. He was the only one of the 3 of us that picked Cleveland. I think they were plus 6.5 against Kansas City, or actually they might have even been like plus 8. It was a pretty big spread. Sean and I both had Kansas City covering. We were incorrect. Manny was right. So by accident, he actually picked the game right. Sean and I lost on that one.
It wasn't by accident. It wasn't by
I think he's getting called into action there at the workplace. Oh, man. And by the way, as Brooklyn Rob pointed this out, I do feel a little weak. We had to get a 10th to fill up our fantasy league for week 1, and we didn't get a 10th. Brooklyn Rob was livid. I mean, he was in my DMs on Twitter on Sunday, and he was basically screaming at me. And I feel bad. And you know why we didn't get the 10th person? Because the 10th person was supposed to be the man directly on top of me, and he never put himself into the draft. So we got to get the weekly going for this week. We are going to circle back, and we're going to get a league going for a weekly draft this coming week.
I need to remind.
we need.
I have a busy schedule.
I understand that. We needed Manny to step up. He didn't step up. So the next game that we picked was Green Bay in Jacksonville. Technically a home game for New Orleans. They couldn't play at home because of Ida. And I was actually the only one that got that right. I picked New Orleans. I think they were plus 3. I was the only one to pick the Saints. You guys both went with Green Bay, and you got smashed. So I got that one right. You and Manny did not.
Hey, Raj. Appreciate it.
Oh, my God. Fart noise was all he gave you. It was terrible. Now, Manny and I both picked Carolina minus 4 against the Jets. So we won there. For some reason, Sean Stanley put his faith in the Jets. They actually, Sean, they came really close to covering. Did you watch the game? It came down.
It was not my faith in the Jets. It was my unfaith in the guy that was going in a revenge game against the Jets.
They came really close to covering. The Jets, it actually came down to a failed 2-point conversion because they got it to within 5. And Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold did play in the game, but he was the Carolina quarterback. Zach Wilson, the Jets quarterback. So Zach Wilson actually leads a touchdown drive, and then they go for 2 to get it to 3. And the 2-point conversion failed, and they failed on an onside kick. But we were a 2-point conversion away. I was anyway and I also had a big bet on that game on Carolina, to cover the 4 points, and they did by the skin of their teeth, my friends. It came down to a 2-point conversion. So Manny and I got that one right. Sean got that one wrong. And then the 4th game that we all picked, and we all got it right, were the Miami Dolphins plus 3. Against the New England Patriots. The Dolphins covered, and they won outright. So we're keeping score. I am 3-1. Manny is 3-1. Sean, let's just say he's got a hole to dig out of. You went 1-3 on your picks. Now, one great week, you're right back in it.
Right where I want you. Got you right where I want you.
Oh, man. By the way, Brooklyn Rob is blaming it on Manny's shoes. And I saw Manny put this in the private chat while I was talking to Allana. Ryan Fitzpatrick of Washington football team has been placed on injured reserve. Now, it was a hip, But is that can someone specify, is it designated for return or not? Like, do we think he's going to be able to come back this season or no?
Isn't it 6 games at least, though? Once you go on IR, you're out at least 6 games?
Yeah, but are they expecting it to be a full season long, or do they think maybe in a couple months he could be back? I'm not sure. Brooklyn Rob says, Dizzy, Manny, really? What, scouring the internet for more hideous footwear? Oh, my God. Listen, I had a great time today. We'll wrap it up on that note. My final message to every Miami Dolphins fan out there is enjoy the victory. Do not over scrutinize and overanalyze whatever Tua did do or didn't do in that game. We should be thankful. You went into Foxborough, Massachusetts, a place that's very difficult to win. And the Patriots have a lot of hype this year. What was everybody saying before this game? No, the Pats are going to win. The Pats might even win the AFC East. The Dolphins will finish third in the division. And Mac Jones is going to look like an all-pro his first game. He did look pretty good his first game. But everyone was against Miami. The odds makers were against Miami. The betting public was against Miami. All of the analysts and so-called talking heads were against Miami. The Dolphins went into Foxborough. They got a victory. Brian Flores is Belichick's daddy. The DNA test came in. Flo is the father. Brian Flores is 3-2 now all time against Belichick. And that even includes getting a victory in that 2019 season when the Dolphins had a bunch of XFL guys on the roster and they were tanking. Brian Flores is 3-2 now all time against Belichick and 2-1 in Foxborough against Belichick. That is something to be thankful for. Do not make apologies for a victory. And yeah, Rafa in Miami had said no indication from Rappaport if it's a season-ending injury for Fitz, but he is on IR. Thank you, David, for the compliment on the show. Thank you, Brooklyn Rob. Thank you, Rafa in Miami, Ricky J. Mark, Michael Christian, Jerry Mancini, who co-hosts the Calcio Connection with me, Maximus, which I think is my friend Nando, but I'm not positive. I know he goes by Maximus. I don't know if that's his YouTube username or not. Adam Barai, I didn't even notice that he popped in. Hello, Adam Barai. Hello. I want to make sure I get everybody in. MB Beggs. Hello. Who else here? Scrolling up feverishly. Martina Davies. We appreciate hearing from Martina. She's become a regular. Phil Welch. Ethan, who hates me. It's not Ethan Skolnick. It's some other Ethan who always pops in for the snoozing emoji. So Ethan, go. I was going to say something not very nice, but you know what? Ethan, have a wonderful day. How about that? Gabriel Perez, Carlos Ortega, Kai Chen Chisholm, Samurai Radio. My favorite username in the chat is always Bishop Sycamore's Finest. Hello, Bishop Sycamore's Finest. Justin, everyone who tuned in. I might miss a few people. Drew Boo, Big Dan. I tried to get everybody in. Joey Vegas, David, everyone who tuned in. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Go Dolphins. And you know what? With all that drama in the Dolphins' victory, we let the Hurricanes off the hook a little bit. We didn't talk a whole lot of Miami. I did give some love to Andy Borregales for hitting the clutch kick. I like Keyshawn Smith, the wide receiver. He looks really good. De'Aaron King ran the football a little bit more. That was nice. But yeah, 25-23. Just thank God they won the game and they didn't pull the Florida State who lost to Jacksonville State. So I got that going for me. But I love my Canes. I love my Dolphins. We will talk to everybody again tomorrow. Thank you, MB Beggs, for complimenting the show. Tuesdays we chat with our guy Brady Hawk. He's going to join us tomorrow. So stay tuned. Same time, same place, 12 noon for another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ciao.